Hi there, how's it in the name of Christ? It's your girl Kren K, Gikarabo. I hope you're good, I hope you're peachy, I hope you're Stella, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. It is Monday, the 13th of November, 2023, and I'm dreading the fact that I have to work out later, because I'm under a lot of attack. But anyway, we're gonna talk. God help me. Let me just get straight to the point, because right now as we speak, it's 18:57. I ate first and everything. So the sooner I get this message out, the better. I'm wearing a doogie today with not showing my hair or whatever, because there's a treatment in my skull. What you're listening to is a plastic bag. I washed my hair last night, and the moisture, I'm leaving it in for 24 hours, and that's what you're hearing. 1 minute. I wanted to adjust the angle. What you're hearing is a plastic bag. So whatever. Okay, look, let's just get straight into the point, man. Let me put some caveats out there. I'm wearing application makeup, I believe, even though these days I'm becoming less and less needful of it, because my skin is clearing. I'm on my period and I didn't even get new acne, except yesterday when I experimented with wearing foundation because I wanted to conceal my peeling skin underneath here. I don't wear makeup, but yesterday I wore it and I broke out, so that's just like evidence to me, ever more so, that I should not be using makeup. I got a pimple over here somewhere. Don't know if you can see it if I come a bit closer. There. It's new. Otherwise my face has not been breaking out ever since going on my new regimen. So watch me experiment again with foundation and watch me pass away. It'll never happen. With makeup, like I'll never do it. Like real makeup, that is. Anyway, but otherwise my skin, the rest of it, that did not capitulate to makeup. Foundation is good. I'm feeling better. Look, my face exercises, I think they're working. Like, I've got plumper cheeks, they're rounder, there's like more face fat, and it's not because I'm gaining weight, because my body's the same size, so praise God. Anyway, y'all, app makeup, if it bounces up and down, it's an app, okay? I'm exhausted from spiritual war, but I'm gonna... I've been thrown in some water, but it's okay, we're gonna conquer. Because it's what I do. I just conquer. Alright, next thing that I want to say is my captions are not always accurate. Sometimes they're irreverent. Using a small G for God as well. So please just kind of look out for that. I'm not going to take them out because I prefer them. I like them there. And I don't have time to edit them. So we deal with inaccurate captions. And yeah, my silence detector, I found a way around it taking away my words. So it's no longer a caveat. So let's just move on. What's up? Okay. More or less. Today I will not be singing. I seriously doubt it, because I've had a hard day just battling dark entities and nightmares. So herein lies the deal, guys, okay? Whenever out there in the wild you are dealing with a brothel or a human trafficker or a ring for the usage of women for nothing but their bodies, when you've got exploitation sexually of women in any ecosystem, you will not only find pimps, in other words men, that utilize women for their own financial gain in a sexual capacity, reducing them to nothing but sex slaves, but you will also find women. And today we're talking about the women, alright? You will find women that help the men, and for them it's just a business. They help men recruit women into prostitution, or they help men traffic women into prostitution. They have got to use women as decoys, because it is very hard in 2023 for a woman to just trust some man in the street, luring them in, telling them, come on, can I just ask you a question? When a man is basically just kind of loitering in your environment at the airport, you will freak out, you will stand next to the guards, you will make sure that you are in a crowded area, you will protect yourself, you will do everything in your power to flee from the freak that is encircling you. because you know, who in the world just kind of allows themselves to be hovered around by some rando at the airport? But when you've got an elegant looking woman coming up to you at the airport to ask you questions, directions, and perhaps even asking you to accompany them to the place where you are directing them, given that they are acting dumb, that they don't know what you're talking about, and so please, do you mind if you've got time to sort of kind of walk me in that direction, because I'm looking for Terminal 4? It's very easy to follow them. It's very easy to naively just run with the woman. It's easy to naively just go where this honest looking woman wearing a business suit is going, pulling a trolley bag, looking all, you know, refined. It is easy, yeah, to follow women into a trap than it is to follow men. And men know that. They know in 2023 that everybody is scared of them. Children are warned against, especially them. I was reading a little like a post on Quora's Digest. You know Quora, that website? I apologize. Oh, a speech lag. That's a third caveat. I've got a speech lag. That might be a thing. I was reading an article on Quora. Not an article, just something that somebody posted, and the name of the question was, what is the one thing that women will never really understand, as you know, coming from the vantage point of a man? And this guy wrote in his experience where he was at the park, just basically chilling there having a sandwich, and a little child came up to him very playfully and started to talk to him about random stuff. He was a cute little kid, and this guy humored this child. However, before he humored this child, he spoke about how he had to look around everywhere to make sure that everyone in this child's life has him in their line of sight, so as to have him not get accused of anything strange. So he only spoke to this young boy at an arm's length, and also with an acute awareness that he's been looked at by the park around him. And he then had a sweet conversation with this little boy while everybody watched him. Basically, everybody monitored the little boy, and so therefore the activity of this man. And then as he's having a conversation with this little boy, he was tempted to ask the little boy, so what school do you go to? Yeah, this little boy, rather says something along the lines of, ooh, at school I drew this, look. And his response was like, oh, that's nice, what school do you go to? And before this little boy could answer the question, he was like, in fact, you know what, no, don't tell me what school you go to. And then the little boy went away. And basically afterwards he said that if I had asked that little boy what school he went to, he might have gone back to his mom, his parents, his nanny around in the park and been like, oh, that man asked me what school I go to. And it would have basically awarded him interrogation as to why you're asking my boy what school he goes to, what's in it for you, do you want to follow my kid, do you want to go after my child, do you want to go and kidnap my kid, why are you interviewing with 20 questions my child? And then he was like, yeah, these are the kinds of things that women will never understand. Just the plight of men in the 21st century, where we're just so severely mistrusted because of the horrible conglomerate among us that have afflicted people in such vulnerable positions. Children and women have been kidnapped, they have been raped, they have been trafficked, they have had all different kinds of things done to them by bad men, making all other men have to basically walk around on eggshells. Yeah, so I told you that story that I read on Quora's Digest to help you understand how, therefore, careful men have become that are evil, men that are wicked, that are traffickers, that are not just innocently eating a sandwich in the park, but are actively scouring that park for children to kidnap, or for women to rape, or for humans to traffic. Men who are that wicked will know, in order for their recruitment drives to succeed, they will know that they have got to place women, the old granny lady, some innocuous looking other human being in the climate of children and other women to lure them into a trap. It is a whole strategy. It has been raised up from the ground by nefarious beings who realized that the world is onto them, and so therefore they've got to veil their miscreantic activity with other people. They've got to use a cloak, a soap, a smoke screen of other females, perhaps even children, right, in order to lure in their victims. So basically what I'm getting at is, these days in 2023, every sex trafficking ring where women's bodies are being exploited, sold for slavery on the black market, has got to have decoy females. It's got to have decoy women. It has got to have women who are working with the men, and the incentive given these women often tends to be exorbitant in the sense that they are awarded lots of money, lots of comfort, lots of peace, and they are also awarded the freedom that other women lose. In other words, they're essentially guaranteed that we're not gonna come for you, we're not gonna hurt you, we're not going to traffic you. We will make sure that no one touches you. In and of ourselves, we will act as muscle to protect you should anybody violate your rights. But in exchange for that ubiquitous protection, that all-encompassing and all-consuming protection that so many other women are in dire need of by men in society, you have got to be prepared to sell your sisters out. That's the fine print. That is the details. Those are the devils in the details. And I'm about to speak of such females as these. Women that have been recruited by some pretty nefarious men that most of us would be onto. Do you understand? However, acting as the decoy, as the front line of battle, as the smoke screen, the cloak, the thing that is placed in front of the real threat to be the innocuous deception. Women that allow themselves to be ridden like horses by evil men in order to plunder the dignity and the virtue of other women. I am exhausted of getting nightmares about such females, and I've been getting them on a loop for years, and it turns out that even though I've spoken about them before, I need to raise this issue again about them. They're in dire need of being lambasted and hung out to dry like biltong and dirty laundry, because absent of us getting to this intricate deception in the web of male insanity, amidst those males that are indeed crazy, we shall highlight that it's not all of them. Yes, we have got to be afraid, be very afraid of women too. It appears it is not safe for us anywhere, as women and as children as well, all over the world, because now innocent looking old ladies are being utilized against children and women, and it is imperative therefore for everyone now to be a threat, okay, a potential threat. No one is trustworthy. Let me speak. All right, let's have a conversation. In order for such a woman as this to exist, somebody gotta procreate and make a baby. Do you agree? So essentially they come from families. Yeah, they come from moms and dads, and sometimes they don't even have a history of violence, abuse, or any kind of trauma in their past to warrant why they are so nasty. There is a saying in the world that hurt people. Some of these women do not have to be hurt. They just need to have an exorbitant love of money and an exorbitant love of self. They have to be so violently narcissistic that even though they were daddy's little girl pampered without a single worry in their lives, they nonetheless allow themselves to become prolific criminals. And this herein lies then the explanation of the last days epidemic of lawlessness, otherwise described in 2 Timothy 3, where people are lovers of themselves, lovers of money. In Matthew 24, it is written that because of an increase in lawlessness, the love of many will grow cold. These women, many of them come from families, they come from healthy backgrounds. They were loved, they were adored, they were raised by entire villages. Everybody doted over them. They did not lack a single thing. Whenever they screamed, the whole country was there to the rescue. Not once did they ever feel neglected nor abandoned, yet they saw it fit to make out of themselves bandits that will cause the neglect and abandonment of other women for no other reason than the acquisition of money inspired by the adoration of oneself. Just a selfish ambition to make money and make it fast, and so therefore be proliferated with clout on an earth. And insofar as you will be seen as better than the next man, you will do whatever it takes to get there. Even though you are not starving, you are not going hungry, you are not with food insecurity, okay? You did not wonder for what in the world under heaven are your next pair of shoes coming from. You are not concerned about employment. You had no worry in your bones about that which plagues a good majority of the earth. Yet, you saw it fit to become a bandit. We're gonna talk about these women who, uninspired by nothing, gratuitous therefore is their violence, went on right ahead to cause a severe post-traumatic stress in other women who they imagined were less human, less love-worthy than them, to be endured to the kind of trauma that makes you hurt other people. Since hurt people hurt people, they create hurt people that hurt other people. They create trauma in human beings that was entirely unexperienced by them, and so therefore proliferate a disease in the human race that in and of themselves they need no vaccination for, because ain't nobody ever given them a problem. I have a cousin of that nature, and I am going to describe her at depth and at length, that you might identify such human beings in your lives, okay? Uninspired by nothing, by anything at all. Sorry. They hurt people around them. There is absolutely nothing in these streets to account for why she turned out like that, other than a basic, foundational, rudimentary rapacity, just a greed to eat the earth, swallow it, and spit out the bones, and then claim she did nothing. She is described in the Proverbs as a wily, wayward woman chilling at the doorstep of her house, inviting unsuspecting or suspecting men in that she might cheat on her husband. She is a froward woman that cannot be told, oh, stop, and so therefore everybody needs to be the ones to stop her, seeing as she won't do it herself. She lacks self-control. She is incontinent. She is petulant and impetuous. She's in dire need of diapers since she is incontinent. However, she imagines herself as one that has arrived, given that for years she tends to get away with murder. We're gonna discuss this cousin. I'm exhausted, Kiena. She is froward and recalcitrant. She will take no counsel, and so therefore siyomkhipha ngamatswape namabhunga. Grandshap ngifila ngathi kudala wakhiphwa kodwa akenandaba. Based on the dreams that I'm getting, she does not care that she's been exposed, because that's what happens when you've been a prolific devil worshipper for as long as my cousin has been one, doing some pretty incendiary things to Earth's citizens. You get a seared conscience, and upon you getting away with murder long enough, because everybody is turning a blind eye to whatever the heck you are doing, you then carry on anyway, given that so very many people appear to be ignoring the fact that your victims are screaming, and every time they cough out comes blood from their lungs. They're facing death, essentially, but you're still walking around free, even though it is clear that the blood dripping from that knife is in your hands, and also the smoking gun is in your hands. Like, there's so much evidence against you. It is precisely because of the fact that there is such a voluminous amount of evidence against them that nonetheless is ignored and swept under the rug, that then gives them this ever so greatly intensified bravado to keep pushing. I've got a speech lag. I told you that I've got issues with a phone. I don't know whether I'm coming or going, so please do forgive me for the lack of alignment with my speech and my lips. Insofar as you can hear the audio, that's all that matters. Okay, I have a cousin that God keeps on exposing for some pretty shoddy, hard knock antics, and she is aware that I am aware what she has done, but like I said, she's recalcitrant and froward, and being the thing that she is, as imagines herself as one that, whatever, you know. I was initially scared, I was afraid, I was petrified about Karabo's spiritual gifting that alerts her to the random incendiary activity I am engaged in. But who is listening to Karabo exactly? I know nobody. So it appears, as wayward and wily as I am, that I can get to keep on doing this and keeping on, because really and truly, who is watching? Cousin, the day is going to arrive when Bonga is hung out in a public crowd, teeming at the folds with millions upon millions of shares and follows, and you will not be able to stop the tsunami that's going to inevitably gobble you up whole. This is an optical illusion, the silence around my life. It is in order that you might pile on for yourself the grandest amount of damages, the grandest amount of torment, and the grandest amount of disgrace. The Lord saw it fit to keep me unheard largely until Utsipsinze, and have done the very most, and have bent over backwards and flattened yourself in an excruciatingly girthy violence against people around you, that by the time you do get exposed, you will have no other choice but to just kind of go in the grave. Do you understand? You will be unwanted. Yours will be feet upon which people spit, because you are going to get exposed overnight, and you will get found wanting due to your unrelenting nature. You are gonna push and push and push le krivai yako, cranship that's about to lose that one wheel that it has, until everyone around you is going to be so grossed out that even your husband is going to file for divorce. Do you understand me? Yeah, the very husband. Oh, mujisitseng. Because he was already kind of fed up with you at some point, but then he somehow married you anyway. Yeah, no, he's gonna file for a divorce. By the time disgrace comes up against you, you won't be able to stand. There is going to be a furnace blast in the center of your ecosystem while you're nothing but a wax figurine that will have no other choice but to melt into oblivion. But no, for today, you look at me like one who is going to be perpetually disregarded. And caring not that I know what you did last summer, you imagine yourself safe because apparently, allegedly, nobody else knows what you did last summer. People are not naive. People are scared. That's what you must understand. People are also not naive. People are lazy to do what is right. But once the calamitous thing that you are affects enough families, that's what's good. They will stop being so lazy, so lethargic, full of muscular dystrophy, unprepared to get up. They will check into rehab and get physiotherapy done on their lackluster, lazy muscles, so they can finally start to run after you, catch you, and then put you in the ground. You are going to be the kind of thing that afflicts so many people that eventually there will be an uprising, and when it happens, it's going to catch you off guard, oh sleepy widow. That's what's good, because you've lost your husband. His name is called Jesus. You there who snoozes in your getting away with murder, the world is all of a sudden overnight gonna turn on you, and you will have no support. Already your sister thinks you are the scum of the earth, but she will never say it because it appears safer for her to stay by your side. You don't even realize that your younger sister fears you. She is scared of what you might do to her if she turns from you. She is perpetually languishing almost every day over what under heaven it is that you did to my life, but she will never confess it because she is scared of you. You don't have a sister anymore. You have a skivvy. Do you understand? You have a doting, docile servant. Not doting, please correct that. You have a docile servant. You have got a magician's assistant that wants to quit her job, but there's nobody else around in the town that can do the job that she does. Not do the job that she does, but nobody else around in the town that wants to hire her. She looks at my life and thinks that if Jesus cannot rescue me, where can she flee if she walks away from you? Your sister is afraid. She's very afraid. She is not supportive. She is not loyal. She is scared because she knows that you are a prolific devil worshipper. Now that we have put that out there, I will go on right ahead to explain what in the world under heaven is the kind of woman that you are, and help whoever will listen to me in these dry, arid, patchy days where nobody's listening to my content, how to identify the kinds of women that help men recruit women into brothels, acting as decoys, luring them into traps that they might get kidnapped. I'm going to help the world understand what kind of woman you are. Having become that woman, don't nobody understand how that even happened, but nonetheless you're pushing this thing. Because like I said, no history of abuse. Qualms, none did you ever experience too many of. You just chose this career path because it was lucrative for you. Okay, herein lies the expose. Nah, I'm very disquieted by my speech lag, but there is nothing I can do about it. I am just hoping with every bone in my body that everything I am speaking is recording. There are women that are currently being recruited into secret societies, devil worshipping organizations. Let me backtrack a little bit from that and rather just tell you a little bit of a story about a secret society, a very demonic one in South Africa. I'm so concerned about the speech lag. 1 minute. My content saved, but I still have a speech lag. So insofar as I still have the content, that's all that matters. I just wish this wasn't my life. I'm running out of phone to record on, like proper. Anyway, let me try and keep my cool and gesture as minimally as I possibly can. Because if I gesture minimally, there'll be less of a lag. There'll be less of the camera that needs to be captured. In South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal, Durban in particular, I have already spoken this prophecy in the past before. I wish the speech lag, I'm having such a hard time trusting that I can continue to speak without losing content. But anyway, it's very hot. Let me try and keep my cool. As much as I'm struggling to keep that cool, let's keep it. My phone is really giving me a hard time, but I have to concentrate on the message at hand instead of focusing on the speech lag, insofar as you can hear me. In South Africa, KwaZulu-Natal, Durban, I've already spoken about this before, giving you guys the full dream, maybe like 4 or 5 times before in my ministry. I keep repeating it. There is a secret society that is made up of black men, ngabantu abamnyama. I did not see white men or any other race for that matter, that started this ludicrous organization on no other grounds but their frustration with their women, i.e. black women. After apartheid ended, the level of independence that black women enjoyed under the new regime was so exorbitant that more and more of them stopped needing men financially. And this caused a lot of frustration in our men. Black men are among the most spoiled men on the planet when it comes to their women. We don't generally struggle, especially in Africa, with feminism. We don't struggle with denial of our roles in the household, our position. We don't generally struggle with desire for having children and lots of them. We don't struggle to serve in a very domesticated capacity our men. From the time that we are little girls, we are taught how to take care of men. We bake, we cook, we scrub, we clean from as early as we come. Now, when you are that kind of a spoiled brat, always being fed, even when we grow up amidst boys, so siblings and cousins that are boys, we as girls work like dogs while they play. That's just the way that it is in the black community. Very rarely do black boys have too much to do around the house. Growing up, they get away with that murder. And even as the girls, if we complain, it'll hardly ever get raised by grandmother or mother or anyone. So as we get older, it doesn't change. We don't all of a sudden start to wear a constitution along the lines of, the women, you're independent, throw the hands up there. That's more Western culture. We do not insist on stopping to clean, stopping to cook, We understand what our roles are. No matter how prolific we might be in corporate or in the business arena, we are still very domesticated in the presence of men. We are still the cooks, we are still the bakers, we are still the cleaners. We are basically domestic slaves, servants, in whatever operational capacity we might be in the planet we live around, in the planet around us that we live in. Whether we are CEOs or call center agents or unemployed or receptionists or project managers. At home, we are wives, we are domestic in the worst way. Always scrubbing, always cleaning, always wiping a kitchen counter. So when men grow up in a climate like that, where it's kind of part and parcel with the whole experience being a man, for women to be at your beck and call like that, you don't see what you have in comparison to the rest of the world. African men literally don't know what they have. You know, Janet Jackson's song should apply at this particular point. Don't know what you got till it's gone. African men have no idea, and I will speak of South Africa since I'm from South Africa, but I would imagine it's an African epidemic just generally. They don't know what they have because men in the West are busy crying and complaining about the lazy nature and the abandonment of their domestic chores by women due to the fact that they are now making money. And even when they don't make money, even when they're broke, even when they're sitting around in the ghetto, they're still just sitting around in the ghetto. They're not cleaning. They're not domesticated. They're not basically slaves. And so there is this epidemic of what is called passport guys in the West, in America and Europe, etc., who are traveling to South America, who are traveling to Africa to find little maids in women because they were raised to be like that. They were raised to just naturally flow in domesticatedness as girls. They were raised to just take in their stride that this is me as a woman, gunjalo. There's no complaint. There is no insistence in you washing the dishes and I'll wipe them. Because as kids, as girls, we tried to get our grandmothers to shout at the boys for not wiping dishes after we washed them until we gave up. And when we got older, we accepted that even though it is an ideal, frankly, that's all it is, idyllic, that men should basically pitch into household chores too, since we are pitching in financially. The true reality is rather that the moment a woman moves into your house, she's cleaning alone, she's scrubbing the floors alone, she's doing all this alone, and out of frustration, to alleviate herself from that choresome burden, she will get a domestic worker so as to not have to be all up in this girl I won. But during the week, when she's not in, since she comes in only on Fridays or Saturdays, it's her with the dishes alone. It's her with mopping every crumb on the kitchen counter. Ooh yeah. And they don't complain. This is the majority of black households. Of course, not all of them. There are men out there that are busy pitching in their lot. But largely, and by largely I would go so far as to say perhaps 70%, maybe 65%, 65 to 70% of black households are like that. Women don't even cry about it. They don't complain. They just wipe the kitchen counter. They just close the toilet seat. They just scrub the floors. And they don't cry. Whether or not they're a CEO, a project manager, a call center agent, a receptionist, or just some unemployed lady. They just do whatever under heaven they have to do to fulfill their jobs as females. So as a result, women in countries where that is a thing have become this rare thing, this longed after commodity that has caused some pretty entitled, however very fed up American and European men to fly to our continents and try to marry us real quick because they want what African men have. I'm not a big fan of passport guys because in and of themselves they have a lot of character flaws that they don't realize they need to chisel away at, refine themselves in order for them to earn such wives as these. So they come here all entitled with their dollars and euros and act a fool, baritelle, where we're at. So I'm not a fan of passport guys. Passport bros, whatever, go home. Deal with them females over there, panel beat them, leave us alone. Because you've got attitude. You have got an entitlement over Africans, but today is not a conversation about the passport bros. I am talking about the females out here that are helping men, not only like the passport bros, but other men that have made out of themselves little menaces to society, however getting away with quite a violence of murder. These, domesticated African females, that's what's good. Like I said, they don't change even when they get their degrees. They don't. However, men in Africa, are accustomed to this. They're used to it. They're used to it to a point where it's second nature. It's like inhaling and exhaling. They have taken it for granted. They expect it to happen just like the sun rises and sets every day. They expect black women to stay like this. They don't see how blessed they are to a point where passport bros would tap on our shoulders with all of their harassment. They don't see that the only reason why there's even a passport bro phenomenon in the West is because of the glory of the virtue of certain women in other parts of the world that have not been comprehensively gentrified. So when you grow up in a land where it's just the norm, it's always flowing with milk and honey when it comes to the quality of women in your backyard, you will be rapacious, you will be greedy, you will be unnecessary and entirely irresponsible in that unnecessity. And so therefore, ask for your bread to be buttered on both sides. Then imagine yourself as the fat lady that nothing is over until you sing. Yeah. These men having women that can double, they can successfully, and indeed they have displayed that it is entirely possible, never mind it being probable, to juggle, domesticatedness, catering to your man, like your Beyonce or Destiny's Child in that song Cater to You, yeah, and still make money. That's what's good. Having made the observation that it is entirely possible for especially us as African girls to be all that, both a project manager and your live-in servant, that wasn't enough. They imagined that this like default setting that we come with was not something to be revered, respected, honored, paid homage to, frankly, because it's rare. Women in the 21st century, batella, and they don't want to break a nail unless they're in Africa, and their nail manicures keep on getting replaced every 3 days due to their domesticatedness. Yeah. When you have grown up amidst such women, you will lack satisfaction for how super serving they are, and so want more. They therefore, out of their rapacity and entitlement, arose a jealousy in them over women that were able to take care of themselves, even though they were also taking care of them. It was not enough that this woman was still cooking your meals. It was not enough that this woman was still scrubbing the toilet every time after you use it. It was not enough that this woman was still making sure that every single Sunday evening you are sleeping on newly changed bed linen. It was not enough that this woman made sure you come into a house that smells of jiki bleach. Jiki bleachy, le sunlight, le stay soft, le omo, everything. It was not enough that you have a whole cooked meal every single day that you don't know how in the heaven she was able to find time to make it, given that she has a career as busy as and as demanding as, if not more than, yours. Very well. It was not enough that this woman was able to be basically superwoman. This girl is on fire, like the one that Alicia Keys sings about. That wasn't enough. These men were like, I'm sorry, there is something being poked away at in my ego. When a woman is able to buy her own shoes and I'm not buying them, something is not sitting right with me. When a woman is able to take care of her own needs instead of needing me comprehensively. And so they literally gathered together in a little incendiary man cave of a diabolical nature and decided to literally hook up an entire secret society premised around significantly reducing the percentage of black women in South Africa that are independent. It wasn't broken, and here it is that they're fixing it, panel beating it, using pliers and hammers. All different kinds of bulldozers are in this construction site now, bringing down buildings that were perfectly established, nothing wrong with them, and they're fixing it. Yeah. So there rose then, it could be about 2 decades old now, a cult that is home-based in KwaZulu-Natal, Durban. So, I mean, it turns out that the stereotype that Zulu men are misogynistic and chauvinistic is true, isn't it? Yeah. It commenced at KwaZulu-Natal, Durban in particular. Where it is that they came together in a little mini caucus and they were like, these women and all their money, it gotta stop. So they literally hooked up a whole occult organization dedicated to the reduction of employment of South African women, black women in particular, because they want la manchichiwabo in their houses cleaning and doing nothing but. At most you will get your matric. Maybe I'll even let you study up to university, but once you graduate, you gotta take that degree, put it underneath your shoe, and hope, just like the tooth fairy, that money is going to appear in that shoe the next morning after you put your degree in there. Yeah. And guess who the tooth fairy is? Me. Yeah. The man becomes your tooth fairy, and your degree becomes the thing you must put away for him to give you money for the rest of your life. Yeah, they wanted that, and they went to occult lengths to achieve it, because they knew that as strong-willed as these women were, they were never gonna agree to just down tools because husband said, honey, once you and I are married, even though you met each other at university in the actuarial science lecture, go vids. So I mean, this chick is an actuary. Like an actuary, do you know what you need to get for maths in order to qualify for actuarial science at varsity? That's who she is. You meet her in your actuarial science class, and then after you fall in love at varsity, since you recognize that this little actuary all up in your grill, yeah, since you recognize that it's highly unlikely that she's going to pass up on a career as an actuary, you then decided that you're going to go to extra strong lengths to eradicate her from pursuing a career, because you want a barefoot and pregnant actuary in your household, but not one that is making her own money. Maybe the reason why she can crunch numbers is so as to teach your children using an abacus 1, 2, 3 ABC. So she gets a degree so she can be a teacher for your children, and not so much one who can earn her own money. Okay, very well. So herein lies that particular mindset, and granted that they recognized the difficulty that they would be inevitably encountered with in convincing women naturally in their own volition to down tools on careers and choose home. They saw it fit to manipulate all of us, or at least a great majority of us, a chunk of us, with spirits that we might never be okay again in terms of careers. The thing about this particular organization is that they were not made up of, or are, because it's a current term, made up of dumb men that imagined that in the 21st century something like that would ever fly. So they knew that they still had to keep some women employed. They knew that they had to allow some women to become CEOs. They knew that they had to allow some women to become MDs of companies, senior managers, bosses over you. They knew that some ladies they had to allow to just fly free, unfettered. But even though there would be a huge percentage of women with independence in the country, there would be others that they would severely thwart, block, and make sure that you will do no other thing but be my wife. And I unfortunately just so happened to have been hit with that freaking bullseye, where I was yanked out of a career by supernatural methodologies, and still to this day I cannot come up for air, and I'm being sought after to end up the wife of some miscreant, some derelict, some devil worshipper, some string puller in the cosmos, because he imagines me a marionette tied to such strings as those. I am not the only one, however, who happens to be an insatiably gifted woman that is, however, unable to get even an ear in, a word in, into any ear on earth to enable her to be independent, because I have been targeted for being somebody's domestic servant. I keep saying they chose the wrong woman because, frankly, I did not ever want to stick around in corporate the rest of my days, raising corporate instead of my children. I would have always chosen family. I would have always chosen the steamy windows because I'm cooking, and I would have always chosen the barefoot and pregnant thing. But you see, even if that would have been your own natural disposition, even if that would have been what you automatically chose, they don't care. Indiscriminately, they just attack you kankane. Until the very thing you were content to glide in, you now are resisting it with every bone in your body, only because it's being forced down your throat. No man would have ever had to force me to choose children, to choose them over career. But now, because they're forcing me to choose them instead of my independence, now more so than ever, am I like these feminists who could not care less for family insofar as they get their own. just because they are coercing me. I now don't want it. But I mean, if a man just sat me down, that I met Hona at university, and we're both studying our BComs, and then after falling in love and getting married, or even before getting married, he then is like, would you consider staying home and raising the children and being there for them while I work? He would not have been met with resistance, not from me. So essentially, all they have to do is continue to ask. Because there are women that are happy to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen and don't idolize career to a point of disregarding their maternal instinct and their nurturing thing over societies. There are actuaries, women with hard-knock mathematical degrees, and so therefore having a propensity for lots of wealth creation, who would choose to indeed use their mathematical training just to teach their children mathematics and no one else, not use their degrees because they want to be moms staying at home. There are women like that, and I was one of them. I was, but now I want nothing to do with these buffoons. So essentially it wasn't broken, but they try to fix it. It wasn't broken, but they try to fix it. Yes, they would have had a hard time convincing 10 other women on the left of me and on the right of me to stay home, but they would have found me. And women like me exist. They're called traditional wives, and they love what they do, and they would not trade it for a single thing. But you see, when you try to force everybody to be a trad wife, including the woman that was prepared to be a trad wife, just so she can resist your coercive iron fist, she will say no. I will not allow myself to be put in the house of a man that insists I can't make my own money. Because how abusive are you going to be once I'm in your clutch? I cannot trust you now that I have discovered that you do not want me to survive apart from you. The issue is in the unpreparedness to allow a woman to survive apart from a man. If at all somebody wants to hold you hostage like that in a union, they cannot be trusted with your safety. They cannot be trusted with what you're trying to do tomorrow. Do you understand what I'm saying? A man that is not with leg room, that's what's good. As to the prospect of his wife working, but he is entirely rigid on the matter, cannot be trusted with her dependency on him. Because on that day he is a dictator, and a dictator cannot be trusted with any what to do. But anyway, let's continue to talk. No man would have had a difficult time convincing me to stay home. No man. Insofar as I trusted him and I loved him, and he wasn't pushy about it. But now that there's all this witchcraft operating, it's like, no way under heaven am I not going to be able to buy my own shoes. Because you might just parch me of the ability to buy a new pair when I want one. No way am I going to rob myself of the ability to get out and book into a B&B when you are in a rant, a spree, proper, afflicting me with beatings. No way am I going to be the kind of woman that's going to ride out an abusive relationship because I ain't got nowhere else to go. A man that can insist on this is the kind that is indeed going to put a whole bunch of blue eyes on your face. And if you can't run out of that, I guess RIP is you, is it not, sister girl? These charlatans that started the secret society started it based on their forecast that women are just going to say no. And so we're going to make them say yes. We're going to make them agree. We're going to make them do exactly what... I am so frustrated with this phone. I think maybe, perhaps if I turn off the Wi-Fi, it might help. I don't know. We are going to make them do exactly what we want them to do. So they start this little cult, the secret society, whatever you want to call it. And it has been running for 20 years now. And in the beginning, when they started it, it was just men. And it was black men. And it was just in KwaZulu-Natal. And they were experimenting on their geographical location. They were experimenting on the greater KZN area. And it worked so well that they gained what would be the ton amount of clients in Gauteng, in the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, Limpopo, Mpumalanga. They gained men in other tribes. In other words, Amaxhosa. They gained Tswanas, vendors. They gained Sotos. They gained other men in the black community that had similar qualms with the independence of black women. They spread their wings, they expanded. It was like a business, an organization that now was going public. And so they spread to all the other 9 provinces of the country. The rest, the other 8, they expanded. And now they're in every province. Now there is a headquarters in every province. And this particular secret society is so prolific in the country that some of its leaders are in the entertainment industry of this country. It is therefore responsible for the reason why all of a sudden in the mid 2010s, in other words like 2015, 14, we started seeing a theme in the entertainment industry of polygamous marriages in sitcom, in series, in shows like Rhythm City, Scandal, etc. We started to see a proliferation of this polygamy thing. Uzalo, yeah. If you just think about all these shows that all of a sudden had one particular patriarchal figure that took more than one wife, and the women were utterly and entirely dependent on this man to provide. It's like they saw the power of the entertainment industry to influence an entire society, and so they glamorized a wicked ideology. It just started to flourish and rear its ugly head. Some of the men that are prolific in this particular cult are media bosses in the country. Some of them are premiers, some of them are municipal councillors, mayors. They are basically involved in the government of the nation, never mind just KZN, local government, but our entire country. Yeah. So it's very powerful, but the only reason that it got to that height, that level, that grandiosity, is because it was so successful in KZN that men with a similar fallen mindset across all the other provinces knocked on the doors of this organization and said, we want a piece of this because I'm also tired of my girlfriend. I'm also tired of my wife. The independence. She's overwhelming me. She's making more money than me. The wife of which, let us just put this out there, was not disrespectful, was not trying to abandon her wifely duties, was not doing anything to truly offend a man. She just had to go and make money, and this guy had to go and have an ego about it, and so therefore decide that I don't want her working at all. I just want her popping babies and that's it. And so they started to afflict women garitlare, a whole bunch of witchcraft, just like insisting it upon women. But then there came a time when working with men was no longer bearing fruit, because This Is South Africa. Somebody should go and do a version of This Is South Africa, yeah, where they talk about gender-based violence. Childish Gambino's This Is America. Falz did a This Is Nigeria. Somebody needs to do a This Is South Africa. We've got a problem. We are the worst country to live in for women. We have an issue with gender-based violence. A couple of years ago, like maybe let's say 10 to 15 years into this organization, there arose in the nation an issue with gender-based violence. There arose in the country a problem, and a prolific one at that, of gender-based violence. And it continued to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up, and with gender-based violence increasing, it caused women in the country to be a lot more wary of men. It made them kind of misandric or misandrious, hateful of men, and protective, self-guarding. It made less and less women prepared to be merely financed by men. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to end up in a casket. Death is quite the extreme. 1 minute. In fact, let's move to the next part so we can carry on.